Well, my time is my time is short here in the pasture, and I'll explain. But welcome, ye gridded followers of the gridless. Um, instead of being tethered followers, instead of being tethered followers of the grid, you need to be gridded followers of the gridless. Gridded followers of the gridless. So you don't get that kind of enlightenment on the grid. Okay. Instead of being tethered followers of the grid, it is better to be gridded followers of the gridless. But even better to be one of the gridless who has followers. Anyway, more on the deep thoughts by Jack Handy later. Good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. But we haven't had a lot of customers here on the grid, but the flies are out, so that's how I know my time is short, because I've weathered the great winter. The great thaw, excuse me, is upon us. I weathered the great storm, the great blizzard. The cabinet flew off the wall, and indeed, like I do, I went ahead and made lemonade and counted it as an opportunity and a blessing, because now it turned into a bedside table for my electronics, and also for my pantry, and it's easier to get at in a wheelchair. So up there it was bad. And so what I did here is I lived through the storm, and the problem is that we have the great thaw, and you can see that the snow that was in those other shots is now melting. And I'm in the middle of the great swamp as well. So what you call it had the great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I have the great swamp. And so when the frost goes out, it's going to suck me in, because I'm living on quicksand. And so my time is short. I feel that I must move on. And good thing it's on wheels, so I can travel anywhere I want when you're gridless. But customers have been slow here. So I tried to go ahead and bait them. When the flies start coming awake, like last night, I'm sitting here going like, "What fly? It's winter." Well, the flies have awakened. And when the flies have awakened, many of you on the grid won't probably experience that yet, because you're shut in on the grid. But when you're out here off the grid, you can find the first fly. And indeed, they're out, and they're out with a vengeance. But I wanted to have some company as well as maybe a customer. So I put some, it's homemade gravy that the Gridless Gourmet made for Easter a couple days ago. And I put a little piece of bread, a little fly roll, dinner roll, if you will. So I had homemade gravy and I had a fly roll. And it's like I've got flies everywhere, but they refuse to step up to the customer window. So I said, all right, let me step it up. I put a little dollop of butter there, as you can see, because I'm sure flies like butter, right? And then a little piece of ham. And so I've been doing several kind of like test recordings and waiting, but these flies won't land on the Gridless Gourmet's meal. In fact, if they don't eat it, I will, even if they land on it, because we got a little dinner roll, got some butter, some homemade gravy, and some well-baked ham. In fact, it's kind of like ham jerky. It's actually pretty good. But so I tasted it. I took a sample, a sip of the plate, and indeed, it's fit for a king. But for some reason, the flies off the grid, there must be some kind of harmony going on, because at home, you step outside on the deck and you're swatting flies off your shit, right? You're off your food. You can't keep them away. Well, I purposely baited the flies. I've got homemade gravies. I've got butter, and not one fly has landed on the great meal that the Gridless Gourmet made. I can't explain it. It's winter. They just come out of hibernation. You'd think the first thing they'd want is step up to the window and partake, but I might have to eat this. I thought maybe it would be good to have flies on it, but indeed they won't. See, there's one right there, but he refuses to land on it. I don't get it. But anyway, we're gonna move on from the flies. But another reason that you know that your time is limited, at least where you are, is that I've got this handy MacGyver. This is actually a fish house too. But what I did is I had a pulley system set up here, and so I would just reach down and I'd grab it. Here I've got some pineapple there, and some fruit, maybe some salad, things that need to be refrigerated. Well, that grass and pasture wasn't there like 2 days ago. Now it's in the 50s. I've got a pizza. They say don't thaw them out, so I'm going to try it. I mean, when you're off the grid, you're not going to say, oh, the pizza's thawed. I shan't eat upon it. No, you'll eat it, and you'll enjoy it. But we're losing our refrigeration system here. And so at risk of having to go onto the grid and be a patient at the hospital, I'm going to have to move along here and go ahead. I've got the solar generator coming today so I can plug in, of course, the fridge. But that's kind of where we're at. So, oh, by the way, I put a little, what you call it here. Let me just kind of fine tune that for you, because this is kind of special. This is basically going to be just something to look at. This was kind of the Easter celebration that we had at the Gridless Cafe with our home baked meal. Always. Not sometimes always, not never always. And then here, okay, right there. You get fired from a job, make it $75,000 a year to zero, and you got to survive. What do? Right there. It's all perspective, guys. It's all perspective. Anyway, I made this cute little arrangement, a little Easter arrangement, if you will. Bought some Easter lilies, bought some chocolate, put a little bit of a decoration there. So when I do get customers that are not flies at the traveling Gridless Cafe, you'll be able to watch me as I'm going to go ahead and make my travel. I'm going to head up into the woods, northern Minnesota. I'm going to stop at the reservation and see if perhaps I might find some kindred spirits up there, and who might need a meal. Okay, and enjoy the traveling Gridless Cafe. But that's kind of where we're at. My time is short. I'm going to cut this short, which it's already too long. But that's kind of where it is. So my time is now limited, and I'm actually off the grid. This is some guy's got a fish house he stores in this pasture. There's nobody here, so I don't want to make it look like, oh, he's in a mobile home park. No, it's me in a swamp. And of course, these giant flies that refuse to eat my stuff. I don't get it. I've been actually trying to herd them toward the Gridless Gourmet presentation, but I don't know. I don't know what it is, but they refuse to eat it. So if you do not want to be bothered by flies at your next family outing, just go off the grid, man. That's what it's about.